to please rise for the singing of our national anthem. Thank you. Please take your seats. Item 1.0 on our agenda, additions to the agenda. Councillor Schuler.
Yes, Your Worship. Two additions, item 3.2 and item 4.2.
Very good. We'll take a motion to add those items to the agenda. Take a motion to it. Yeah. Let's take a motion to add those items to agenda from Councillor Schuler. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Adoption of the agenda as amended. Take a motion to adopt the agenda as amended. Councillor Schuler? Yeah. All in favor? That's good. Item 3.0, amendments to the January 7th, 2015 regular meeting of council minutes. Any corrections or amendments? No. She proofreads them more thoroughly than anybody you can imagine. So we'll let that one slide then. No corrections or amendments, so I'll take a motion to adopt the January 7th, 2015 regular meeting of council minutes. Councillor Bossert, all in favor? That's carried. Item 5.0, we have two public hearings today. Rezoning bylaw. I'll declare this public hearing open for bylaw 1422D to allow the rezoning of lands legally described 7622449. The purpose of the public hearing is to receive comments, concerns, questions from the public with regard to the proposed amended land use for a portion of the lands municipally described as 2251 50th Street. Said bylaw passed would allow road expansion and potential for development of commercial businesses similar to those or in with those being developed along 50th Street South. The above bylaw received first reading at the November 19th, 2014 regular meeting of council, which may be followed by second and third reading today, depending upon comments received at this public hearing. Notification of the bylaw requesting comments from the public and has been done through mailouts and newspaper advertising. To facilitate the public hearing process, any comments received, written or verbal, will be presented as a package at the time of the public hearing. At this time, I'll call for comments from the floor with respect to this item. Seeing none, any oral or written submissions?
Just the one that was submitted as part of the public hearing package.
Very good. Nothing further? All right, I'll declare this public hearing closed. Public hearing, item 5.2, bylaw 2014-11D, a road closure bylaw. I'll declare the public hearing open for bylaw 2014-11D to close a portion of the road known as 50th Avenue, just immediately north of McDonald's, as northwest of 849-7 west of the 5th Meridian, so that the portions of land no longer required for a road right-of-way can be legally closed as roads and can then be consolidated to create a single parcel of land. The purpose of the public hearing is to receive comments, concerns, and questions from the public with regard to the proposed road closure portion of the lands legally described as the northwest of 849-7 west of the 5th Meridian. Said bylaw, if passed, will allow the closure of portions of the road known as 50th Avenue north of McDonald's. The above bylaw has received first reading at the November 19th, 2014 regular meeting of council, which will be followed by referral to the Minister of Transportation for review and approval, then submitted to council for second and third reading at a future date, depending upon the comments received at this public hearing. Notification of the bylaw requesting comments from the public and neighboring landowners and advising them of the public hearing has been done through mail-outs and advertising. To facilitate the public hearing process, any comments received, written or verbal, will be presented as a package at the time of the public hearing. I'll call for comments from the floor. Seeing none, any oral or written submissions?
None.
Very good. I'll declare this public hearing closed. Delegations, 6.1, Staff Who with the December RCMP policing report.
Morning, Mayor and Council. December of 2014 was normal. I guess there was a few things that happened, but I'll kind of go through what I have for the list here. Some of the offenses that stick out would be, one of them would be the assault offenses. There was 9 actual. 8 of the 9 of those were domestic related incidents. And another one was a incident that happened at a local business here. So we are still working on a couple of those, putting them through the courts. There's some that have already gone through the courts and been convictions entered. But we're, if you go down to the bottom of the page where the VSU accepted and declined, we're making strides to try and involve as much as possible our victim services unit to help the victims of these crimes, to make sure they're getting the proper support they need as well. So we've been doing that in the past, but we've been trying to make it more on the stats of actually having it reflected in the numbers. So we're trying to bump up those numbers as well to make sure that we're getting an accurate reflection of what's going on. The break and enter stats, one of those was a home break and enter, and 4 of those were businesses where things like a snow machine, a rifle, or cash were taken. There's a couple of those that are still under investigation. The common theme with most break and enter type investigations is that there's a collection of evidence, and so these take some time to get them processed. If we get a hit on a fingerprint or some sort of other evidence such as DNA, so those are usually a little bit more lengthy in term versus crimes against the person. So we are still working on a number of those as well. Another one that jumped out to me was the mischief to property. There's actual of 21 incidents. I'd kind of just like to go over a little bit of what, these are kind of the raw numbers, so it doesn't reflect actually some of the, when I did some research into it, 11 of these were classified as unfounded complaints. So basically, this is kind of like a raw snapshot, and I'm kind of trying to go through the highlights of what is there. Of the ones that were charged, there was one at the high school where a youth was charged after doing some graffiti on the high school. And the other one was the removal of a person. Now, I guess that's the other side of mischief. It's the preventing the lawful use or enjoyment of property, as well as part of it's not just property damage. So that's another reason why sometimes these numbers are reflected as mischief, where it's not just damage to property, there's also people not allowing others to use the property that's why that number is reflected as such. On our drug enforcement, I noticed that the possession charges, 80% clearance rate, which is good. Those are mainly because of our traffic stops. So we've been stopping people and finding drugs on them or detecting scent of drugs in vehicles, and then from there launching into investigations. And we've had successful charges on 3 of those, and we still have one that's still under investigation. The trafficking stats, a number of these are Crime Stoppers tips. So they're scored as trafficking, but what they are is Crime Stoppers tips, where we get anonymous information from the public, and then from there we have to look at what we have and identify whether or not it's something we can follow up. So those are still under investigation. And rather than that, the other thing too, over Christmas, we conducted 3 check stops over the Christmas season. Of those, we had 3 impaired charges stem out of those. We had a couple of 24-hour suspensions, and our violation ticket count for in town this month was 43 tickets. So, as for that, the second page, this again kind of is a pie shape that kind of shows our different calls and how our time is being utilized in December. Traffic again being 38%, drug offenses 2%. Federal and provincial statutes, again, those are criminal charge-laid activities. The common police activities, if you see there again, are things like false alarms, abandoned vehicles, persons reported missing, things of that nature. Property crime, again, 18%, and a person's crime is 6%. So I guess at this point, any questions from council as to December stats?
Thank you very much, Staff Sergeant. I particularly appreciate the inclusion of the victim services stats, because of course at the end of the day, when a crime occurs, we want to know that the people get the necessary support that they require. So I'll call for questions from council. Anything? No comments?
That was an easy one.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, and just to let you know too, an update on the incident at our detachment for this month.
Right.
We do have a subject charged. He's currently facing 10 charges, a number of things. He's also involved with a number of incidents prior that we're still under investigation for, so likely more charges are coming. He's a local known meth user, and unfortunately decided to try and break into jail instead of what most people like to try and do. So at any rate, just everyone's okay, no one was injured, and I think that all in all it was a very successful investigation.
Not the recommended way to apprehend
Just for me,
yeah, it's almost self-serve. I'll call on Councillor Bossert. She has a question.
Good morning, Staff Sergeant. Thank you for coming in. Glad to hear the results of last week's break-in was successful with charges. We always want to see the bad guys in the right spot. I just want to say thank you to you and your detachment and to all that wear a red serge in our country, given the events of last week and this Monday. I think it's important for all of the community to show their appreciation for what the RCMP does for our communities to keep us safe. So thank you for what you do.
I think all of council echoes that sentiment, and in fact, the community. I saw an awful lot of red the other day, and it was that kind of support.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, council and ladies and gentlemen, my apologies because I, in my haste to get going, I skipped over the adoption council minutes from January 26th. And so I think for clarity for the minutes, we should take a motion, a separate motion for item 4.2. Councillor Schuler, are you prepared to make that motion to adopt item 4.2, which is the adoption of January 26, 2015 special meeting of council minutes? Great. Thank you. So I'll call the question on that. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. I think we're good now. We can move along, and I apologize for that oversight. Item 6.2, we have Yellowstone to Yukon Conservation Initiative, Sarah Cox, Senior Conservation Program Manager. Good morning.
Opportunity to present here today. I have some slides which I think are just getting loaded here today. My name is Sarah Cox, and I work for the Yellowstone to Yukon Conservation Initiative, known as Y2Y, not to be confused with Y2K. We're a nonprofit organization based in Canmore, and our mission is to connect and protect habitat so that people and nature can thrive. I'm sorry, there's an voice overlay on just that first slide. If you don't mind turning down the volume. Thank you. It's just on the first slide. And I'm here today to talk about our interest in the North Saskatchewan Regional Plan. Y2Y takes a scientific approach to conservation, and we work with hundreds of partner organizations, including landowners, government, industry, business, other conservation groups, and scientists. Some people have said that we are anti-development and anti-hunting. That is not the case. We believe there needs to be a balance between industrial development and conservation. Actually, if you don't mind just going, yeah, thanks. Back to that slide. We believe there needs to be a balance, and our president, Karsten Hoyer, is himself a keen hunter. I'd like to talk to you about why we're interested in the North Saskatchewan Plan, but first I thought I would tell you a little bit more about who we are and what we do. If you could click to the next slide, that would be great, thank you. The Yellowstone to Yukon region stretches more than 3,000 kilometers in length from just south of Jackson, Wyoming, all the way up to the Arctic Circle. And it encompasses 5 states, part of the provinces of Alberta and British Columbia, and part of the Yukon and Northwest Territories. The region represents one of the last remaining intact mountain ecosystems left on the planet. And the blue arrow points very roughly to the North Saskatchewan region. You can see that it's just about in the center of the entire Yellowstone to Yukon region. Just waiting for the next slide. Thank you. This map was published by scientists in 2004, and it shows how much habitat in North America has been lost due to development in the last 200 years. The brighter the color is, the greater is the diversity of carnivores and ungulates. And you can see the black region outlined there is the Yellowstone to Yukon region where we work, and you can see that it is the remaining stronghold in North America for a diversity of species. There's everything here that was found at the time of after the last ice age 10,000 years ago, from grizzly bear, lynx, wolverine, elk, caribou in most of it. And it's a very important region for biodiversity. We're so fortunate to have here in Alberta what most parts of the world have lost, which is the full suite of wildlife that has always been here. We have an incredible opportunity here when so many parts of the world are dealing with species either extirpated, extinct, or on the brink of extinction to protect what we have before it is lost. The state of Florida, for example, is now spending more than $1 billion a year trying to bring back the Florida panther. And in Europe, scientists are literally trucking bears from one location to the other so that they can find mates. Next slide, please. Grizzly bears are often used as an indicator or umbrella species. When grizzly bear populations are healthy, it means that about 80% of the other species in the ecosystem are also healthy. And as you can see from this map, the bottom of which is slightly cut off there, grizzly bears used to roam from Mexico all the way to Manitoba. Next by the 1920s, only island populations were left in the United States. 90 years later, all of those island populations, except the little blob, the orange blob at the bottom there, which is the greater Yellowstone ecosystem, are still intact. And what happens when species populations are cut off from one another is that it often leads to extinction. It's how extinction happens. The arrow, if you just hit the enter bar there, please. The arrow points roughly to where Yellowstone to Yukon Conservation Initiative's office is in North America in Canmore, and you can see that it's near the southernmost extent of the today's grizzly bear range. Next slide, please. We know a lot more about wildlife movements now than we did even a few decades ago. This is a photograph of Pluie the wolf, who was tracked by scientists about 22 years ago, and they found some very interesting things. Next slide, please. You can see that this is where Pluie roamed from 1992 to 93, and you can see that it's not just in one park or protected area, but in numerous parks and protected areas that the wolf found her way from one to the other. Next slide, please. Part of the North Saskatchewan planning region is in the Yellowstone to Yukon area, and that's why we're interested in this planning process. We're participating in the planning process by making submissions to government, meeting with decision makers, and through communications and public outreach, encouraging people to become involved. We also participated in the South Saskatchewan planning process. We're motivated to participate because we believe that Alberta's headwaters need more protection than they currently have. They're the source of water for millions of people in places like Edmonton and surrounding communities. Our mountain vistas draw many, many visitors and tourists to the region, bringing their dollars with them. And our headwaters provide vital habitat for species like grizzly bear that have lost habitat elsewhere. So the North Saskatchewan Regional Plan, or NSRP, as it's known for short, is a blueprint for land use in this region over the next decades, and it's expected to be finalized this year. There'll be a public comment period, probably towards the end of February or in March, after the Regional Advisory Committee report has been released. It's been delayed a few months already. The plan was supposed to be finalized this summer, and now we're hearing that it will be finalized towards the end of this year. There'll be another opportunity for public comment when the draft plan is released, and then the final plan. Next slide. My colleague Wendy Francis, who's Wide-A-Wise Program Director, and I took a trip this past July through some of Alberta's headwaters to meet with different groups, including watershed advisory councils, and hear about people's concerns about the headwaters. This photograph was taken, it's the North Saskatchewan Glacier, and it's the source, the origins of the North Saskatchewan River. This is protected. It's in Banff National Park near the Jasper border, but the most of the North Saskatchewan region's headwaters are not protected. Next slide, please. What happens upstream affects communities downstream. We know that intact forests soak up water during periods of heavy rainfall, and that they can help mitigate flooding when they are healthy and intact. Calgary and Canmore are not the only cities in Alberta that are prone to flooding. This is a photograph of the 1915 Edmonton flood. Exactly 100 years ago, this year is the 100th anniversary, and they put the train on that bridge there to successfully stop the bridge from washing away. That flood swept away 50 homes, submerged 35 city blocks, including today's neighborhoods of Walterdale, Cloverdale, Rossdale, and Riverdale. Next slide, please. When the waters receded, 800 homes and businesses had been destroyed, and at least 2,000 Edmonton residents were homeless. Next slide, please. When you trace the North Saskatchewan River to its origins, you'll find that 90% of the flow of the river originates in the Bighorn area, Bighorn backcountry area. It's an area that lines the eastern flanks of Banff and Jasper National Parks, and it features 4 subbasins where 90% of the river's flow comes from: the Clyne, Ram, Clearwater, and Brazeau. The Bighorn is one of the few roadless areas left in Alberta's foothills, and the majority of the region is classified as nationally significant in the Alberta government's 2009 Environmentally Significant Areas report. The government's own profile of the North Saskatchewan region, which I encourage everybody to read, it's a very interesting document, points out that biodiversity values in the North Saskatchewan region are already significantly compromised, those are the government's own words, when compared to biodiversity values from several decades ago. One consequence of extensive development in this region, combined with a lack of adequate protection for at-risk species, is that we've lost woodland caribou from this region. 5 additional species in the North Saskatchewan region are classified as endangered, and another 40 are listed as species of special concern, threatened, recommended threatened, sensitive, data deficient, or maybe at risk. And these include the fisher, American badger, Canada lynx, grizzly bear, bull trout, and trumpeter swan. Next slide, please. 30 years ago, the government of Alberta promised permanent protection for the bighorn, most of which was once included in our national park system. We believe that the North Saskatchewan Regional Plan is a golden opportunity to fulfill this long-standing promise. The area has been designated for protection, but that protection's never been legalized. It appears on maps, but it is not legally protected. We must ensure that the North Saskatchewan Plan protects the entire bighorn as a wildland park while maintaining the current management regime. Aside from its biodiversity values, the bighorn contains evidence of human use dating back 10,000 years, and it features First Nations cultural resources, traditional use sites, and grave sites, and historic trails used by First Nations, early fur traders, and the early Forest Service. Next slide, please. The bighorn is rich in biodiversity and provides a key habitat for grizzlies, elk, its namesake, bighorn sheep, mountain goats, and many bird species, including boreal owl, golden eagle, and white-tailed ptarmigan. It's a crucial link for wide-ranging wildlife, moving between Banff and Jasper National Parks and the adjacent White Goat and Siffler Wilderness areas, which were also once included in our national park system. And it's a cornerstone for the Yellowstone to Yukon region. Next slide, please. In addition to permanent protection for the bighorn, another initiative that Y2Y would like to see in the North Saskatchewan Regional Plan is a land use designation called a wildlife corridor. We know that connectivity of wildlife across landscapes is a central factor in maintaining biodiversity, and the tools to create a wildlife corridor are already embedded in our Land Stewardship Act. Next slide, please. A wildlife corridor designation would be a lighter touch of green. It would allow uses such as lighter touch forestry and hunting. It would have clear limits about what type of development can take place without impeding wildlife movement. For example, we know the Alberta government's own science tells us that grizzly bears only thrive when the road density is less than 0.6 kilometers per square kilometer of roads. We know that, we have that information, and so in a wildlife corridor there could be development, but not exceeding that threshold at which grizzly bears fail to thrive. A wildlife corridor designation would preserve enough habitat based on science to ensure species survival in the long term, and it would reduce land use conflict and provide certainty for industry. Next slide, please. People come from all over the world and the rest of Canada to enjoy Alberta's natural areas and catch a glimpse of our famous wildlife in the Rocky Mountains. We believe that the North Saskatchewan Regional Plan must take steps to protect our wildlife by dealing with the alarming issue of biodiversity loss and habitat fragmentation. We know that large mammals like wolverine, grizzly bear, and caribou do not thrive when their habitat is fragmented. We believe there needs to be a balance between industrial activity and nature. Next slide, please. Communities that exist close to protected landscapes tend to be wealthier communities, attracting amenity migrants and drawing tourist dollars. Tourism Minister Richard Starkey, in unveiling the new Alberta Tourism Framework last year, made reference to the key role that protected areas play in attracting visitors to Alberta. And according to the Canadian Parks Council, 2009 spending associated with Canada's national, territorial, and provincial parks added $4.6 billion to Canada's GDP, created more than 64,000 full-time jobs, and provided $337 million in tax revenue. So protecting the Bighorn permanently makes sense economically as well. Next slide, please. The Alberta government has said we have reached a tipping point where sticking with the old rules will not produce the quality of life we have come to expect. If we want our children to enjoy the same quality of life that current generations have, we need a new plan, and we believe the North Saskatchewan Regional Plan offers that opportunity. In the plan, Y2Y is asking for permanent protection for the Bighorn as a wildland provincial park, fulfilling that promise made 3 decades ago, a wildlife corridor land use designation for connectivity, linear disturbance densities that are assessed and managed to a standard below the threshold set out in the Grizzly Bear Recovery Plan, and where motorized access is permitted, there should be designated trails and use areas along with monitoring and enforcement. And forest management in our headwaters must aim to reduce flood and drought impacts. So I wanted to have an opportunity, if anybody has any questions, I don't know if there's an opportunity now or I can leave my contact information. I'm very happy to answer them. And I also look forward to hearing what Drayton Valley has to say about this upcoming plan and encourage everybody to participate. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Rita can take your contact information, of course. I'll open it up to council for questions with regard to the public comment period for the North Saskatchewan Regional Plan. Council will be discussing that over the coming weeks in order to prepare their own position, so that's not been finalized. So at this point, I'll open it up to council. Any questions at all? Presentation was very informative. We thank you very much.
Thank you, and happy to answer any follow-up questions. I'll leave my contact information.
Right. Thank you so much. Item 6.3 on the agenda, presentation from Stefan Johansson of ADOS Consultants. There he is. Is that ready to go, Jason? Okay.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, members of council, administration. I'm before you today just to show you some of the final work that we've been doing in the Drayton Valley Community Public Space Design Project. With regards to myself, and I've got the distinct pleasure of traveling this great Western Canada and working with municipalities, working with their parks, their plazas, their neighborhoods, their streets, and we're very honored to have been selected to help this community. A lot of the plans and the images that you're going to see are indicative of our corporate portfolio. Start at the beginning. One of the first things that intrigued me and why we went after the proposal, essentially it boiled down to 2 points. I was asked to create revitalized and inviting community spaces that align both in design and in context with surrounding areas and community uses. The second point to that, obviously, is reflective of available funding and its ability to be implemented in its entirety or in phases. The second huge point, and this is where council comes in, is create long-term plans and visions for these 3 public spaces. We're asking town council, once our finished documents are there, town council to select parks and elements therein as priorities for implementation in the next coming years. From a project management point, I had clear marching orders. Basically, it was avoid duality of forms and purposes in these public spaces. That being, we don't want water parks, for instance, in every park. They're very expensive and very costly. Each of these parks then going on to 2 has to be regional destinations. These have to be very distinct. They have to be attract people from outside of town, something that is special and will bring people into the town. Point 3, distinctive. People think that parks and plazas look the same. This is quite the opposite. Each park, very much like people, are unique, one of a kind, rare, and special. Already these 3 points is quite the challenge. Seasonal use. Spaces need to be used in all seasons. Democratic spaces for all people, all ages, all genders. In terms of the project update, you can see we're at point 6 here, where it's concept plans, submissions, and council presentations. The final step, obviously, then, is implementation strategies to help you with your decision-making, and submission, then, of final concept plan and deliverables. In terms of consultation, obviously, we've been working with your administration and the departments, but we also went out to the public. And our public consultation consisted of design charrettes. And essentially, this is a planning exercise. It involves residents, property owners, business owners, and community stakeholders. We held 4 charrettes over 2 days, where, and you can see from some of these photos, where we were set up throughout the neighborhoods. We gathered groups, and it's targeted sessions. These are working groups, not just me coming up, but actually having the citizens work. All sessions were advertised and open to the general public. Consequently, we also had one town meeting with the department also to discuss operation, maintenance, and anything that may come up from that perspective. To the point, what is a public space? Public space is a social space. It's open and accessible to all people. Public spaces include parks. It includes plazas. Believe it or not, it also includes roadways. It also includes alleys. Taking that concept a little bit further, the concept of shared space. And I love this photo right here. This is taken from your own municipality. Shared space is basically enlarged public space by removing demarcation features between vehicle traffic and pedestrians. I'm not saying that we're going to convert local roads or collector roads. I'm talking there is an opportunity for events where we can blur curbs, we can blur pavement. You can see in this picture here, these people have figured it out. This is not every day, but when these events happen, we can actually expand our borders. We call it blurring the property lines. I work a lot with a lot of municipalities. We will close actually cul-de-sac roads, and the remnant space we can actually turn into plazas and things like that. And some of these concepts I will be showing you. Now, in the West Coast predominantly, there's a concept called living alleys. It's an urban design approach. Bless you. It's an urban design approach. It's called living alleys, and you can see actually these people have actually come in and actually planted vegetation and made more permanent statements in their back alleys and things like that. Again, to convolute things, I'm going to talk about semi-public spaces, and I draw your attention to this photo here. It's a cafe, it's a patio, but if you do this properly and you do it adjacent to public space, it actually can be borrowed space. The catch is, it's public space as long as you pay. In the evenings, obviously, it reverts back to public space. So these concepts of shared space, semi-public spaces can be applied to parks and other forms of public spaces. Very quickly, I actually enjoyed catching that last presentation because this actually segues very nicely. And I love the fact that she said park, because parks actually do vary in scale. This happens to be one of our national award-winning ones. This is from Devon to Fort Saskatchewan. It goes through Edmonton, 7 municipalities. But parks vary in scale. This is regional. You can have parks that are throughout a town, or they're very site-specific, like you've asked me to do. The type of park also, or public space, is very different as well. Spaces could be very urban, so more of the hardscapes. They could be suburban, a mixture of grass and concrete, and they could be rural, very much like the last presentation. Think about your user audience. Some parks are very specific parks, art parks, linear parks, and you can see some of those photographs. Some of them are recreation parks. I think I mentioned this one before. This is some of our work in Sylvan Lake. This used to be a highway. It's a linear park. So public space has many, many different forms. I've got 4 different segments. These were big slides. So the next one, I want to talk about the downtown civic public space. As Jason's getting this queued up, thank you. So as we know, we're familiar with the of space. It's right across the street. And during our analysis, it came to our attention that the parking lot was actually used more than the public space itself. There's just various reasons why that happens, but obviously not useful or effective public space currently. Plus, you've also got the pump station, a hill. There's just a lot of things that we could do to improve this. You've got parking. You've got a lot of disconnectivity. I do want to bring your attention to this alley and some of the parking arrangements and things like that. Here's an opportunity, what I'm saying about these living alleys. Every once in a while, this thing could be shut down and the park uses could actually expand into these areas. In terms of public, our vision, so obviously from administration, what we heard from the public, our analysis, we came up with a vision for this civic public space. The first is civic pride. This community has a lot of opportunities, and I'm blessed. I go all to many municipalities. There's a lot of apathy, so you got great support, great programs, but you're doing it everywhere. You have no civic heart, and I mean that lovingly. You need a civic heart, a civic core. Connectivity. You've got municipal investment, you've got commercial investment in your downtown core, but the connectivity between all of this is lost, and this could happen through this park. Community celebrations. Rotary Park, one of the ones that I'm going to be talking about, is being loved to death. Some of those could be put potentially in the civic heart, if you will. This notion of enlarged public space, shared space, public space, living alleys, and I like to use the concept back as front door. So this 1960s, 70s context of everybody has to go through your front door. If you actually, you could actually have more users if you even open it up to your back door as well. Economic development opportunities. This again has to do with current businesses, potential new businesses with some of these types of, and all they need is really support and spaces to do a lot of their activities. I'm not going to go through each one of these, but suffice to say, and these are available, a handout is available, but there was a series of program elements from the public, and obviously we're bringing some design features ourselves. Oh no, this happened. I'm so sorry. What I'm talking about here is a series of features. What we want is that processional route. We want to talk about terminus features. We want to talk about site furnishings. Even site furnishings could be art. I'm just going to skip through these and I'll just cut to the plan. This is, just for context, this is Town Hall. This is 51st Street. This is the theater expansion, provincial building. The current parking lot is right here. This is the problem. In order to bring these types of communities together, or these types of amenities, it's segregated by a parking lot. As people walk into this parking lot, there's no notion of park, there's no boundaries. So what we're doing here is we actually use the top half of the parking lot, and now what we're trying to do is this east-west connectivity to join the town hall with the commercial core, and even the Legion to the town core. So again, safe crossings, one safe crossing, things like this. You'll start seeing these series of circles. Those are art features, terminus features, water features, things like that. You can see the trees are very purposely lined up in straight rows. We heard that a lot more sod, a lot more public event space. What's nice about this is you can actually have events. These are elevated roadways. It's very much like an extended curb ramp. And these elevated roadways, you can actually have stages for events, and people could be looking this way. Skating areas, public parks. This notion of this living alley, you can see that there's a series of properties here. These could be very easily moved out into these areas on a temporary purpose or basis. I'll also draw your attention to this property. Obviously, it doesn't look like that, but the idea is we know that there's already parallel parking. This potential owner could actually have two series of plazas, and he could actually subdivide it with other tenants. This is an example of what I'm talking about, this front door, back door mentality. All of these property owners have those opportunities instead of just from 51st Street. So again, even though that this is a public park space, we're trying to encapsulate and truly make this a civic heart. In this particular option, I've got two. You'll also see that all the public parking is along 52nd Ave. This is existing, that's existing, and we've basically put some there. In option 2, we've actually taken the parking off of here and we've put it back here. So again, trying to use as much existing infrastructure. The difference between the two is this actually gives this public space all four corners, and this then becomes 100% corner. You'll start looking at connectivity, angled parking. We've actually increased your parking on 52nd. We've smoothed that all out. You've got pedestrian curbs, closer crossing distance, lots safer. You've got a playground, a shell, and you still have that opportunity for a band shell. Same thing, all these current conditions apply. The one thing I would like to point out, though, is in order for this to properly work, this little pass-through is critical for all of this to work. So hopefully we can work with your planning department and ensure that pass-through still is there. And we're going to talk about the former pickup school site next. As many of you know, I love the fact that there's a skate park there already. And a lot of times there's negative attitudes about that type of demographic and that youth. And I was really pleasantly surprised that it was actually received quite well with a lot of the people I spoke with. Suffice to say, though, the rest of it is flat. And the other thing we heard is build us a park, build us something with mounds, something that attracts me into this space other than just walking through it. Please take note of your boulevard, right? Very, very flat. So some of the visions that we came up with based on stakeholders and community, again, is we want to make this an active recreation site, a park. We want to augment the skate park. Potentially, we heard from stakeholders, BMX courses, parkour. Parkour is basically like urban gymnastics, and I've got pictures to show you. Connectivity. There's no sidewalks. There's no, right now people are doing GO trails through there. There's no internal loops. Outdoor fitness is important. And again, trying to hit all demographics. Fitness stations, community gardens, circuit trails, things like that. Boulevard improvements. This has to do with more of the residents now. Giving an edge to this park. Parking improvements. By going 90 degrees, we can actually add another 22 more stalls along the whole way. Urban forestry improvements. Again, trying to help you with your maintenance costs, but actually the creation of wetlands, natural areas, to help urban forestry promotion. Again, various public program elements came into this, and again, we're offering our own design features as well. Man, that's not going to happen. Anyways, these images are available. I apologize, in a packet. In terms of the final product, this is a color rendered version of it. For everybody's context, here's the skate park, Rotary House, Evergreen School. This is the abandoned site. There's a pump jack there currently. There's a current trail leading to this high school here. What you see here then is probably the most obvious is this NHL size skate rink. That's being developed by another community group, but that needed a home, so we put it here. This is a proposed bus hub. What's really nice about that is if and when that does go in, for most of the time, that's going to be available play space. You can do 3v3 tournaments, basketball tournaments, indoor, like hockey. So this all of a sudden has an opportunity to support some of these uses on a seasonal base. Draw your attention to these red dots. These are all park entries. These are all boulevard trees. And again, we're trying to give you some connectivity. This is a concession, outdoor space, a tractor area to support these types of elements. This is a community garden. In this particular concept, you can see a wetland. So we don't see this all being natural space, but there's a mixture. There's going to be berms and hills. In this particular case, this is all open space. The picnic area is all along 44th Street. There's a group fireplace, and you'll see every often there's also fitness trails, things like that. Essentially, there was a second option here, and I'm going to show you this more in black and white. And I've chose to remove this, but essentially it's the same. But what we've done here is we've actually showed a BMX technical course and a technical course this way. The park core, park is right here. These demographics, this is what we're trying to do here. It was removed in the sense of green space. This park, it was just a little too crowded. If these types of activities do wish to go, there is natural adjacencies here. Hopefully that this landowner, property owner, that some deal could be struck for those types of activities. So now this becomes a truly regional destination. I think that was it. And the last one then is Rotary Park. Probably your most beloved park, the one that truly is being loved to death, and that's great. It's a great public space. And once again, we did our analysis, we did our stakeholders. Again, just use at all time a really, really good public space. But again, I'd like to say that a lot of these events could be put back to the civic park here, or the civic space, things like that. In terms of the vision, why break a good thing? This is about families. This is about taught recreation. The spray park, the playground should be built on, and additions made to that. Connectivity. There's no sidewalks. There's no internal loops. That needs to be enhanced. Your Canada Day event is spectacular. However, the spaces, the stage needs enhancements to make that even a better event. Nature play, outdoor classroom learning is enhancements with a daycare program and that side of the park. Boulevard and parking improvements. Again, we can help with some of the parking issues and adding some additional parallel parking. Some various program elements that came in from the public, and some design features that we're that we're suggesting. And here's ultimately what that color rendered may look like. For everybody's context, here's the pool, the daycare, the current existing playground here. So some of the features to this is, you'll start notice that we relocated the swings. There's a disjoint right here. We combined this so that the existing spray park could actually expand. This is the existing facility, and you can start seeing that there are trails going through here. This is the existing asphalt trail. So some of the things that we're trying to do is obviously give you a formal edge. That light green is a hedge. You have a big boulevard right away, so we've actually encroached in a little bit. We've actually pulled these into the boulevard, and so you get a series of parking. One of the things we heard was this is the only parking spot, and so we definitely edge conditions are important. We've introduced another entry here. We've introduced sidewalk improvements in front of the Scout Hall. So again, it's about safety, it's about walkability so that young children aren't in jeopardy. The biggest thing is currently the food bank has a service access right here. Well, there's obviously a conflict between these young tots and service vehicles. Fortunately, the pump jack has been abandoned. We've actually taken the service road and pushed it closer to the tennis courts. This now has access to these facilities, storages, and the children then, there's no conflicts. This is a current swing gate, that's available as well. Other features that I'd like to talk about is anything in gray are additional water parks, anything in red are additional playground equipment. So you can see, and this is the eco learning. So this whole stretch along 51st is truly dedicated to young children and families. What's interesting about that, there's a gazebo here. We've actually moved the stage closer to 49th Street for surveillance and also for proximity to events. What's nice about this now is now that the pump jack's out of there, we have augmented or expanded the picnic area. So now this all becomes picnic area, Canada Day events, and a lot more organization. Some final things to end on. In terms of this area back here, It's actually been closed, and we've actually grasped it. There's a structural core in terms of geogrid, and now service vehicles only get to this point, and this is now reclaimed. We see community gardens. There's actually basketball hoops that have been incorporated inside of the tennis courts, trying to get duality out of this space. Little things like, and just cleaning up things and just desire routes, and just making it all around a little more safer, and lots of lighting. There's lighting all throughout this park as well. Very quickly, then the next steps. We have to prepare final plans. We need to do final cost estimates, and there's very early days in those yet. And then implementation strategies to help you, as a council, make some informed decisions going forward into the future. And with that, I thank you very much for the opportunity to present.
Thank you very much, Stefan. Some great work in these proposals, and we look forward to the public's comments over the coming weeks. There's an item on the agenda later on to have council accept them for information, and after that we'll share them with the public through our own electronic media and through the newspaper and otherwise. And we look forward to everyone's comments. Thank you so much for your work. Thank you so much for your presentation. Any questions, comments, council? No. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I'm sorry. Annette?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to recognize Stefan Johansson for his work in developing the conceptual plans. When this council requested this work to be started, early last year, I know that the process of determining and recruiting landscape architects, we had a lot of submissions, great interest, and certainly when the interview process was underway and Stefan responded with his ideology and philosophy towards open space planning, it became pretty evident that EDOS was the company that really fit what we were looking for. So the public consultation processes, the amount of consultation with our administration is really appreciated. So Stefan, thank you for this, and indeed we do look forward to public input into the conceptual plans as they are presented to the public at this point in time. And certainly the task ahead for administration and council is to take a look at how we can take a look at some long-range planning, because we see this not as an immediate development, but it will be something that will happen over time.
All right. Thank you again. All right. We move to 7.0, the public time segment of our right, questions, concerns from the public, and there are no who've been. And I anticipate that some of you may have something that you want to share with us at this time. Is that so? Anyone to either Rita has a point, or if you wish, you can.
Good morning.
Good morning, Eileen.
When I opened and read my Drayton Valley newspaper on December the 30th,
Oh. Yep, seems to be working.
when I opened and read my Drayton Valley newspaper on December the 30th, the main thing to take my attention was Town Council proposing a 9% increase in our taxes. Wow, what a hit on the many seniors who choose to reside in this town. We are on a fixed income, but we have received a raise in our old age pension. The end of January, we got 55 cents. I guess I'll have to save it up and help pay my increase. The town proposes to spend $2 million on low-income housing. No one found my husband a place to stay in 1953 when he came on the second drilling rig to this area. He too slept in a granary, but didn't sit back and whine for help. He just kept working. A few hardships made the pioneers of this town work harder to make themselves better and make this town what it is today. Why did council turn down the co-op, who were going to build an apartment building, but now are spending taxpayers' dollars on debentures to address the housing issue? Maybe the town should be trying to entice developers to build the needed housing for the town. It's time the town focuses its attention on running the town and get out of real estate. How much money have we realized on the BioMile to help us? No accounting has ever been published that I've seen. Better spending practices of council should have spent our money in our own town instead of going on trips for training sessions and a retreat after the election. I feel the Mackenzie Centre would have catered to the meals, and then they could have gone home to sleep in their own beds, saving us money. Thousands of people from Suncor, TransAlta, and local companies are being laid off. People are needing all of the spare money they have to feed their families and put a roof over their heads, not a tax increase. The mayor of Edmonton said, "Taxes are not our money. They are your money for us to spend prudently." Fiscal management by our current council to freeze hiring any more employees, unnecessary projects such as a $2 million low-income housing, and no more trips until the recession bounces back. We all have to work together, as our pulling together says. Maybe the town should help the seniors in this town by not raising their taxes, because this is where it hurts all of us. Who will help us pay our increase in taxes, which are based on the value of our homes, but won't be realized until we die, and then they're sold? Please try and think about that. I want to thank the people who came out to support me, as they too have the same concerns. Thank you.
That's very well articulated, Arlene. Thank you for your comments, and thank you for attending to support Arlene in that statement. And I'll just, with a show of heads nodding, everyone feels more or less Arlene has identified. I'll share some of the current thinking of council. It is a big number. It's always been with regard to property tax, and it always will. When we our last, we have extensive public discussions and council meetings leading up to the finalization of the budget last fall. And perhaps any other year we've had public involvement and input in the budget process. $46 a barrel, and it dropped like a stone thereafter. We know, we're mindful of what that does to a community like ours. And so in our meeting earlier in January, I and in fact, considerable appetite on council to revisit some of the major portions of the budget. It was the interim operating budget that was passed in December, early December, and as such, it's not finalized until we pass the mill rate bylaw in March, April. So we are the major portions of it, including what, if anything, is to be done with respect to affordable housing. A significant element of that 9% would have been or was intended to be borrowing to to enable us to do something with regard to affordable housing units. Now, as I said, we're mindful of the impact of a tax increase at a time like this in a community such as ours. So we are trying to find ways and in fact create induce the to participate in providing housing, particularly units, because the studies that have been conducted, the Housing Index report that was jointly funded by both county and town 2 years ago, yeah, evidenced the need for $2 million is not going to build 300 units. We know that. In solving this problem, and what we have we'll continue to work through and make a presentation to the public in, I hope, relatively short order, but what our plans are to facilitate the to see their way clear to assisting the building some multifamily units in the community, because they're needed. Rental accommodation is the single most crying need for housing in our community. With respect to some of the other things, are on the table for discussion. So nothing has been finalized. I would encourage you to continue to monitor what we do and provide your thoughts on an ongoing basis, because this is a scenario. We are residents of the town of Drayton Valley, and we want this town to succeed and prosper. We want to manage the affairs of the town responsibly. So again, thank you for your comments. And does council have anything? Councillor Long.
Thing that Glenn didn't pick up on. You saw the news this morning. Edmonton City Council a 3.8% pay increase. We awarded ourselves a 0% increase. We waived our increase for this year. So we have issues out there, and cognizant of the financial realities that we're in town, as the Mayor says, and we want to keep them as long as we can on a job that has to be done.
Councillor Schor.
Thank you. I just want to, I guess, encourage, everyone. This is great, and I welcome feedback. You questioned, a few decisions that council has made, and I would encourage you to contact any of the council. Decision that has been made, and you don't understand why certain decision, please contact. Our emails are in the paper. Our phone numbers are listed in the paper every week. I would have no problem sitting down. Any that wants to know why I voted a certain way or why I'm leaning a certain way on a particular. We'll have more information than what the public has, and there's usually reasons behind it. And if you're not sure or don't agree with what we've voted on, find out why. Please contact us. I'd like to make sure that people understand why I support or don't support a particular item on our agenda. And I do it in what I feel is the best interests of our community and the residents. So if I need to explain that, I have no problem doing that.
Councillor Bossert, did you have anything? No. All right. Very good. Thank you again for sharing your thoughts. And once again, I encourage you all to continue to monitor what we do and provide feedback. So at this time, Did you play? Pretty well? Okay.
But yes, she's definitely right of the pioneering of the seniors in this town, which was a real tough goal here, even though there's a lot of taxes is shack. But I'd also like to mention, and I was also going to mention that we should, the seniors could, after living here for 10 years, could maybe get a little bit of break on their taxes, but it looks like that's going down the break, but I'd like to keep that option open, take a look at the seniors. But also, most places are asking seniors to try to stay in their homes, to look after themselves the best way they can, so they don't put the pressure on where health services, et cetera, et cetera. But our taxes are already on the real estate back in Green Valley, comparisons of real estate houses that are sold, it's comparable. It's not like it used to be on the house that was built. And that puts it down to the limit. And this was a municipality's decision to get more taxes a few years ago. The cutbacks of industry, like they're talking 30% cutbacks, and they're asking their service providers, like an oil company using service rigs, tank trucks, and et cetera, they're asking them to take a 30% cutback. Well, that happens, then those people start asking for 30% cutback in the hospitality industry and even in the restaurant. And before you know it, the chain reaction goes down to the bottom. And I hate to see what happened, what will happen like it did in 1985 and 84 when all the recession took. People lost big business, small business, and everybody's going to be looking for a job. And in this town, we use service workers from other countries to work in this town. Are the local people prepared when they get paid off to work for $10 for their job? So they'd rather go on UIC. So I'm just, and the other thing that we could do, I know that we like our roads better, the paved and the parks and the snow cleaning is done very good. The town has done a very good job on that. And we like to keep our youth busy by skate parks and such things. And we also, but I would like to mention that maybe bylaws officers could do more charges on RVs parked in the wrong places in this town. And back alleys, garbage could be cleaned up, and these people should be ticketed. It would also increase the income to the piggy bank and the town's money. I think maybe even we could use a new town police officer that just does speeding and watching of stop signs and et cetera. These are some of the things that, and I think the town has some of the best equipment that you can see in this country. We have 3 snow plows, we have large tractors that are 120, I'm not sure if I'm corrected on this, but very large tractors cutting grass and et cetera. So I think we have to cut back. Everybody has to pitch in for a cutback. And I'd like to thank you very much for listening to me and have this opportunity to speak to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for bringing in, I think, a good job with the and they take it out and they try to extend its use as long as possible or longer. I'd be interested to explain about what you started about some kind of seniors but it is a promise to look at it. Yeah. Sure.
Living in a single dwelling as a senior, so
Mhm.
they're on fixed incomes, which I am not on the seniors are. But the other houses next to me, most of those houses, they have 2 breadwinners in the family.
Right.
It makes that difference when it
Yep.
comes to insurance and utilities and all that.
Yep.
And we're trying to compete with 2 breadwinners in the same kind of house.
Oh, understood. And I want to just as a and this is don't shoot the messenger, but just for everybody in the room, Clayton, Seeley, and Tracy, they take us through the numbers and our throughout the province. If you want to know the truth with regard to and different, in the middle doesn't make it any different. I understand that. But Alberta, tax rate is among the lowest, and it's been consistently among the lowest since the first time in 1998. At any rate, I should, and that's not going to don't change anybody's opinion. I appreciate that. So thank you for your comments. All right, at this time, I will call a short break. And we'll just have to speed up the reports. Okay. Call the meeting to order. Decision items 8.1, Councillor Bob. This is fresh in everybody's head.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Community Services Development Department has been working with EDOS Consultants Incorporated on developing and enhancing 3 public spaces within the town of Drayton Valley boundaries into attractive and inviting community parks. The ultimate goal is to create community spaces where residents and families can come together, strengthen relationships, and build a healthy and engaged community. Getting echo here. EDOS Consultants, Inc. Previously presented the preliminary concept plans and precedent imagery for the downtown civic park space, the former pickup school public space, and the Rotary Park family play space. The Community Services Department is requesting Town Council to accept all concept plans as information only at this time. An opportunity will then be provided to the public to review the conceptual plans before final adoption by Town Council. Therefore, I move that Town Council accepts the community space design plans as presented as information only.
Thank you, Councillor Bossert. Any discussion on this motion? Councillor Schuler.
Yeah, I just want to say that I want to thank EDOS for bringing forward these concept plans. I really like them. I think they would greatly enhance our community and greatly enhance the public space that we have to get the community engaged or more engaged in events throughout the community. So I'm very excited about this. We'll have to see how we can incorporate this over the next few years, in our budget to try to make sure that this gets adopted. I think it's a great start for us.
Thank you. Anything further, Councillor Bossert?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I echo Councillor Schuler's comments. When I look at these plans, Stefan, I get excited. They are very beautiful, and they are excellent use of what we currently have as public spaces in our community. And if I had a magic wand, it would be done today. And I hope that we can incorporate these plans into our budgetary plans over the next couple of years and see some of these plans come to fruition, because, as I say, they would be a great enhancement for our community. So thank you very much for your presentation.
Anything further? No? Yeah, these designs are fantastic, and a great deal of thought and work has gone into them. Very much look forward to commencing work on some areas of, some elements of these redesigns, and I think there are tremendous opportunities for sponsorship and community collaboration and involvement. So we very much look forward to engaging the public on that front as well. So without further ado, I'll call the question. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Item 1.2, Councillor Long, rezoning 22D.
Thank you. Received an application to rezone a portion of land 762449. This is 2251 50th Street. Rezoning a change of land use from the district to C2 General Commercial District. Such rezoning would allow and potential for development of commercial businesses similar to those already being developed along 50th Street South. 2014-22D was given at the regular council meeting. To provide rezoning. A notice of the public hearing was added in the local newspaper pursuant to the MGA requirements and was provided to owners. Any received were provided to council during the public hearing this morning. Rezoning bylaw 2014-22D is hereby presented to council for second and third readings. I've got a couple given the responses at the public hearing, which were basically no. With option A and move that we give second reading to rezoning bylaw 2014-22D.
Thank you, Councillor Long. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor? That's carried. Councillor Long.
Move that we give third reading to rezoning bylaw 2014-22D.
Thank you. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Item 8.3, Councillor Schuler, subdivision application DV 1411.
Thank you, Your Worship. The following report from West Central Planning regarding an application for a residential subdivision for land located within the Southeast 1649 on November 14, 2014, an application was received to create a 0.0 or 0.22 acre lot. The subject area is wedged between a wooded area and a residential community. It is estimated that will be built on the vacant parcel of land. However, the subject area is currently zoned R, which permits detached homes and accessory buildings. On December 2014, representatives from West Central Planning to the proposed lot. Their site analysis did not yield any significant issues that would prohibit the proposal from proceeding. West Central Planning did make note of set requirements, and based on preliminary address by the regulations are met in the subdivision proposal. The referral generated 3 comments. One, the owner wants reassurance that they will not be responsible for the new fence that will be required, given that the applicant requires the fencing to be built 1.5 feet onto their property. Any new fencing would now need to be constructed. The second owner requested details as to what is being proposed, given it was not the original proposal. Please take note that neither adjacent landowner objects to the proposal. However, they do want comments addressed. The third owner is opposed to any development that will not gain space. And you see the attached letters of concern. Reserve as the lot is too small. No comment or concerns have been received from agencies, utility companies, or adjacent landowners. West Central Planning recommends that the town approve the subdivision subject to the list of conditions on the attached draft proposal. Administration recommends that council approve subdivision application DV 1411 with the conditions noted below. Yeah, I'm just going to go with that because for the most part they're standard conditions and they're outlined. So, oops, Excuse me. Just 1 second, I lost my place here. And there's nothing listed for a motion. I therefore move that we approve the subdivision application DV 1411 with the attached conditions.
Thank you, Councillor Schuler. Jen, before we get further into discussion on this, I know the concern with regard to fence, that's much an issue between private landowners, and it's not something that the town can immediately independently. But I think in the interest, we might send a letter to both landowners while addressing the applicant here and call the landowner with the concern that fencing issues of this nature ought to be addressed at the time of any development, and these things are not something properly within the jurisdiction of the town to impose solutions. Something to that effect. So, is that something that, and I'm looking at either you or Mr. Dion or somebody to tell us whether or not that needs to be added as a condition. I think it's just a direction to administration. Does that?
As you had mentioned, Mr. Mayor, it's not really something that the town enforces, but I can definitely send the letters to the landowner and CC the landowner with the concern, just as mentioned, that any future fencing being relocated to the property line.
Right. So that's a direction to administration. The conditions are, as Councillor Schuler identified. Any further questions, comments on this? Jen, can you identify just on the map the area of the subdivision so everyone's clear? Yeah, the little triangle. And as far as the administration is aware, it's
for residential development.
Yes. Yeah. Councillor Butler.
That was my question, Mr. Mayor, is what was the intended purpose for this little proposed lot? Is it large enough to actually accommodate a new residence? It looks like obviously a very irregular shape and barely large enough for a residence.
I haven't seen the lot dimensions yet. That will come with the survey plan, and at that point we'll, when I sit down with the builder and go over the plot plan, we'll be able to see what can actually fit on that lot.
Mr. Deal.
It's about 9,000 square feet. It's a pretty big lot.
Right. Just an unorthodox configuration, that's all. Why don't we do more triangular lots? I don't know. All right. Anything? Very good. We have a motion before us. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Item 8.4, Councillor Bartlett, Regional Communications Protocol.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In an effort to build upon the protocol of principles established in February 2010 between the town of Drayton Valley and Brazeau County, the two municipalities have continued to advance a working relationship and to include the village of Breton as a valued member of our broader community. Together, the attached Regional Communications Protocol has been prepared to establish communications and shared services amongst the three municipalities. This document is hereby presented to Council today for Council's approval and execution. Therefore, I move that Council approve the attached Regional Communication Protocol between the town of Drayton Valley, Brazeau County, and the village of Breton.
Thank you, Councillor Bossert. And before I call the question, I think it's important to note that this document is a small measure of progress in the relationship between town, county, and the Village of Breton. I'm delighted that the Village of Breton has been included in this. I think it's also important to note that this document does not bind any one party to any decisions or budgetary requirements, but is, in its essence, a strong expression of sincere desire to cooperate with other municipalities. So, having said that, any further discussion? Questions? No? Great. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. 8.5, Councillor Long, Economic Development and Tourism Workshop Follow-up Action List.
Thank you. Intermunicipal cooperation with Breton County, Town Council and Senior Administration took part in the Tourism Workshop on December 19th, 2014. Was to assist in making strategic choices using priority setting criteria consistent with the organizational resources for regular monitoring. The attention is various activities started in early September 2014 and is discussions on December 19th, 2014. The potential and discretionary services as well as ways to and ensure delivery capacity. The adjacent to the various activities are intended as an optimum goal, recognizing these dates are live and direct availability of human, financial and informational resources. The follow-up list is presented for Council to accept as information. They accept the attached Economic Development and Tourism Workshop follow-up action list as information.
Thank you very much, Councillor Long. And the follow-up action list under the worker program was, there was no date, but I believe it was and in fact I have struck up a conversation with our Member of Parliament on that, so I'm ahead of myself, perhaps for the first time in a while, yeah. So in any event, any questions, comments, discussion? Councillor Bossert.
I'd just like to point out that this follow-up action was indeed set up for all three councils, some of the priorities for our region, and really pinpoints the things that we can work together on for effective use of all resources. And for me, it's really important to see that we can prioritize as a region and set in motion some of these very important projects, such as the foreign worker program, which affects our workforce here in the community. So I'm really pleased to see this come forward to Council.
Thank you very much. Anything further? All right. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. 8.6, Councillor Schuler, Council Policy Updates. And Chandra, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's separate motions for each of these policies. Is that your understanding as well? Okay. Thank you. Councillor Schuler.
Thank you, Mayor. Administration has reviewed existing policies to assess them in regards to the current practices of the municipality. Council meetings, agendas, public hearings, policy C0113, committee policy C0197, board committees to council policy C0597, mayor policy C0497. Policies are now being presented to the council for adoption. Some of the updates include the change of the management committee name to governance and priority committee and the chairing of that committee. In addition, with change to the term of council from 3 years to 4 years, some point to the appointment of mayor policy. While the council meetings agenda was amended in September 2013, amendment to the time locations of council meetings necessitated amendment of this policy, and some amendments to the layout of the policy were made. Each of these policies will help streamline the activities of the town by establishing best practices and a minimum standard that we expect. I therefore move that council approve the following policies as presented. So we'll do them one at a time. So I therefore move that council approve the council public hearing policy C0214.
Thank you, Councillor Schuler. Any discussion? Great. All in favor? That's carried. Councillor Schuler.
Thank you. I move that council approve appointment of deputy mayor policy C0314.
Thank you. Any discussion on this motion? All in favor? That is carried.
I move that council approve the governance and priorities committee policy C0414.
Any discussion on this motion? All in favor? That is carried.
And I move that council approve the boards and committees to council policy C05.
Thank you. Any discussion on this motion? Councillor Buck? Just to mix it up a little.
Had to put my hand up. I just wanted to thank Ms. Dyke for her diligent work on these policy updates. These policies are very clear guidelines for the proceedings with council and council members, council committees, and the like. And with new councillors, a new councillor coming in short order, having these policies updated now is very timely. And they outline things that are actually very important to know. And I really appreciate all your work that you've put into this, doing it in a timely manner. Thank you.
Very good. All in favor? That's carried. And thank you, Chandra, again, for your work. Since the creation of your position, we've come a long way in updating our policies and bylaws, and you're not done yet. So. Very good. 8.7, Councillor Bossert, the
Thank you, Mr.
Community
Mayor.
Sustainability Plan.
Seems like there's a lot of reading today with other councillors missing. The town of Drayton Valley developed its community sustainability plan in 2009 for public consultation, literature review, and input. Since then, the town, in cooperation with various community and governmental agencies, has experienced significant success in achieving the goals outlined within the 2009 plan. In 2012, the town received the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Award of Excellence, and in 2013, it received the Alberta Urban Municipalities Association Municipal Sustainability Award. In July 2014, a request for proposal was sent out looking for a consulting firm to conduct the review of the 2009 Community Sustainability Plan. The Center of Sustainability out of Whistler was the successful candidate. On October 15th of 2014, the consultants held a workshop for administration and department supervisors to add suggestions and changes. The community workshop was held on October 16th, 2014, and public input was gathered to enhance and improve the plan. A second workshop was held on December 2nd, 2014, with the consultants, administration, and department supervisors to review the input that was collected from the October 15th and 16th workshops. The 2015 to 2019 Community Sustainability Plan draft has been completed and is presented to Council for acceptance as information only. An opportunity will then be available to the general public for its review of the final draft document prior to the adoption by Council. I therefore move that Town Council accept the 2015 to 2019 Community Sustainability Plan final draft as information only.
Thank you, Councillor Bossert. My compliments, Annette, to you and to the team at the Center of Sustainability for their work on this plan, and I very much look forward to receiving public comments on it over the coming weeks. It's an extraordinary rethink of where we are and where we need to go in terms of community sustainability. So we have a motion. Any further discussion? Councillor Bossert, then Councillor Schuler.
Thank you. I just want to mention to the public that a plan such as this Community Sustainability Plan, is a plan that helps council establish priorities for the community. Every measure that we endeavor to initiate is measured against the sustainability plan. There are some key components in this plan that are very important for the sustainability and productivity of our community. So a document like this is very useful, not just to council, but to the community as a whole, for our establishing priorities as we move forward to develop and create as sustainable and prosperous community as possible. So I appreciate the work that's gone into this document, and how valuable it is in helping us set priorities.
Very well said. Councillor Schuler.
Thank you. I just echo the comments so far, and say, how impressed with this plan that's been brought forward, being part of the sustainability plan of 2009. I know went into that, which we received a few awards on, and to see, the continuation of that plan, and now into the new plan, I can see this going forward and enhancing what was started, and I'm very excited about that. The community should be proud of the work that was put in. So very good job, and I look forward to this plan moving forward, getting a little more. I think it's a great plan, and if we can enhance it a little more with public input, that'll even be better, and move forward.
Thank you, Councillor Schuler. It is of critical importance to guide council's work over the coming years, and help build a stronger community and stronger individuals, families, and organizations within it. With that, I'll ask one final time if there's any questions, comments, discussion. Okay, call on the question. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. 8.8, Councillor Long, the social development.
Thank you. Developed the original social development plan in 2006 following public consultation, literature review, and reliable input. Community organizations and acquired resources from governmental agencies to advance the goals outlined within the plan. The review of the 2006 social development plan has been a collaboration in the Town of Drayton Valley Healthy Communities Coalition. In July 2014, a request for proposal was sent out looking for a consulting firm to conduct a review of the 2006 social development plan. Facilitation Services Inc. was the successful candidate. The social development plan review focused on the resiliency model as the underlying foundation for the goals and strategies. Community stakeholders as a to ensure that the resiliency is the major outcome of the plan. The 2019 social development plan completed and is being presented to Council for acceptance as information only. To the general public for its review of the final draft prior to adoption by Town Council. Therefore, I move that Town Council accept the 2015 to 2019 Social Development Plan final draft.
Thank you, Councillor Long. And I'm particularly pleased that early in 2014 we were able to assist the revitalization known as the Healthy Communities Coalition, and we're able to bring the county on board with membership in that organization, and they in turn have helped us in the creation of this document, and that's what social development is about, and the resiliency model that Dr. Unger has spoken so eloquently about in the fall. It's about building strength within individuals, organizations, and to make that a symbiotic relationship throughout the community. So very excited about this, and very much look forward to the comments from the public. Any further discussion or comments? No? All right, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. 8.9, Councillor Schuler, Memorandum of Understanding between Eswara Origins Corp. And BioArc Drayton Valley Ltd.
Thank you. Marketing to and innovate at the Clean Energy and Technology Center. From the Technology Alliance hosted in Drayton Valley to Eswara Origins Eswara focuses to utilize technology for treating wastewater used in the resource industries. As Drayton Valley is ideally located in an active oil and gas, Eswara is interested to establish a centralized facility here. Eswara's vision for their demonstration facility and research base is well suited fit for the mandate of the CETC. Administration recommends that CETC pursue working with Eswara to see how and work towards a project being located in Drayton Valley with the Eswara. And this relationship will move of understanding and preparedly with Eswara. The MOU has received legal review and corrections attached. Eswara Origins Corp. Received their board of directors approval and is prepared to execute the MOU following adoption by Town Council. I therefore council approve the memorandum of understanding between Eswara Origins Corp. and Valley Limited.
Thank you very much. Any discussion on this motion? Councillor Schuler.
I'm excited to see this MOU go forward. I think there's a real opportunity for the CETC, and it definitely fits within the mandate and can be, it'll be well suited for, for our community. So I'm very excited about this and look forward to administration working out some more formal agreements.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I commend Mr. Deal for following up on it and coming to the point where we have an MOU with Eswara. So, any further discussion, Councillor Bossert?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're often hearing concerns about industry using fresh water out of our water courseways, and as Ms. Cox presented this morning, we have to preserve our waterways and our headwaters that are in the region, and any company or program or initiative that helps us use our water efficiently, even for the uses of industry, gets my vote. It is a very important thing to be aware of and to take action upon. And as Councillor Schuler mentioned, this is a very good fit for the Clean Energy and Technology Center, not only for its idea, but also that it works within the industry in our community. So I look forward to seeing this move forward as well, and to see its initiatives towards treating our wastewater for our industry.
Any further discussion? Councillor Long.
I'm pleased to note that last night's both the importance of economic. It's something that I believe is the way forward for our community, and I think this ties in very well to some of the things we're trying. So glad to see this coming.
Yeah. Excellent. Thanks very much. All in favor? That is carried. Item 9.0, information items. 9.1, there's October 2014 minutes. 9.2, or September-October 2014 minutes. 9.3, the RCMP policing report for December 2014. 9.4, the Drayton Valley Brazeau County Fire Services stats for December 2014. And 9.5, the Waste Management Committee November 2014 minutes. Can I get a motion to accept these items as information? Councillor Long, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. 10.0, Department Report. 10.1, Planning and Development.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. January so far, we've been working on our year end with the inspections group to close out all of our permits from 2013 and earlier. And as promised, I said I would have my planning and development report for 2014 for this council meeting. So for 2014, our new housing starts were sitting at 83. 19 of those were single-family dwellings, 40 of those were a mixture of duplex, triplexes, and fourplexes, and 24 of those were the townhouses. So we got the 23 housing starts. However, 2013 was our highest housing starts with 102, but those had also included the 2 condo buildings that had been developed. Total of residential developments for 2014 was $14,028,854.75. Total commercial was $13,644,051.15. Industrial was $17 million, valuing at $50,328,905.90. 2014 was the highest for residential. 2013 was the highest for commercial, industrial, and also had the highest value for development. The year totals. So for 2014, we were sitting currently at we had issued 179 development permits. In total, we had 215. So 36 of those were building permit onlys or expired permits that people had submitted and never actually followed through with them. There was one refusal as well. So that actually was the highest since 2008, which was at 191 permits. So it was a very busy year in 2014 for planning and development. So the 2014 year highlights for residential, ongoing densification with the single-family dwellings being replaced by duplexes in the older area of town. The 24-unit row houses, which were approved along the south side of Aspen View, that had been approved. At the end of the year, the 20-unit condo with the 8 duplexes, 1 fourplex was approved for to be developed behind the Ignited Church. They had started development on there. I do believe they had kind of put a halt on it because of the weather, though. The 2 condo buildings that were approved last year for a total of 71 units are currently under construction and estimated for occupancy of 2015. The one that's on 52nd here, that one's just about done. I anticipate probably a few more months on it. However, the one behind the Holiday Inn, they had a little bit of issues with the underground parking, so that one is seeing some delay, but they're still hoping for occupancy by the end of the year. And then there were 3 residential subdivisions, of course, in Murrah Estates, which totaled 71 new residential lots, which will be available for development. For the commercial and industrial side of things, the CETC building was approved and is under construction. That was noted for $7 million, so that was our highest, of course, permit that was done. The truck stop is under development. So in there so far we have the Petro-Canada C-Store, the bulk station, which was approved in 2013, Loop City, and the Best Western, which was also approved in 2013. For those 4 buildings, totaled so far $14,430,000 just in that one area, and hoping to see some more applications come forward this year. There are numerous commercial office and shop facilities totaling $23,982,294. With these shop and offices, Boss Oilfield and New Force got new buildings. ConocoPhillips, the Seniors Lodge, the Shangri-La had done some extensive renovations. OK Tire, Associated Ambulance, Nelco, There was a commercial lease building up in Westview Industrial Park, which is now being occupied. J-Core, which is along Highway 22, right beside Nelson Brothers, and McTy. That is the end of the report for planning and development, if council had any questions.
Any questions for Jen? Councillor Bossert.
Thanks, Jen, for this summarizing of all the developments, residential and commercial for 2014. I am very heartened to see, we approve these things over the course of a year and we kind of forget what they accumulate to. And to see this number of residential homes coming into inventory in our community is an excellent thing to see. I'm very encouraged by that. I do want to note, however, to my knowledge, none of these will be rental. They will all be for purchase, which does add to our inventory in the community, but it still does not address the gap of rental in our community. I'm also very encouraged to see between the CETC, the truck stop, and numerous offices and facilities, something in the neighborhood of $50 million worth of commercial industrial development in our community. For a community this size, to have $50 million worth of new development in 1 year is staggering, in my opinion. And sometimes we forget how progressive a community we are, and I think these numbers speak very highly of that. So thank you for the summarization.
It is a comment that I routinely receive from people who've either come to Drayton as for the first time or have returned. They look around and see the development, and they note that there seems to be a great deal going on, and yeah, and these numbers kind of reinforce that. So nothing further for Jen. Good. Do we have anything for engineering and transportation? Yes, by all means.
Sorry. I know I'm not on the list, but I did have some important information that I wanted to remind everyone that tomorrow is the advance poll for the election from 10 to 3 here in the conference rooms. People can come in and vote. Any town resident, they do need to bring identification to confirm their residency, and they will need to swear a form advising of that. And Tuesday from 8:30 to 8 p.m. at the Legion will be the polling date. Again, if people haven't had a chance to vote at the advance poll, they can come in that day and vote for the council position. Sorry. Yeah, getting there. We do have a mobile team going to the seniors' facilities. That will be going to different facilities. There are times set at each of those facilities throughout the day, and they will be able, residents of those facilities will be able to vote. Unfortunately, it's not open to people that work at those facilities. They do have to come to the polling stations. And we offer the incapacitated voter at home, so the mobile poll clerks can attend at an individual's home if they're unable to get to the voting station. So I hope to see lots of people there. We're ready for a good showing.
Very good. Thank you, Shanda, for that reminder. So once again, recap, tomorrow here at the town office between 10 and 3. Bring ID with you, and alternatively, vote at the Legion, 8:30 in the morning to 8 p.m., and again, bring ID. Right. Okay. Good. Councillor Schuler?
Thank you. Could you maybe just, for the public's information, what is acceptable for identification to prove where you live?
Of course, preferably, and what a lot of people do have is a driver's license. That's or a government-issued photo ID is ideal. We do accept utility bills, which reflect the individual's name and address. There's a very extensive list, which is available on our website, or if anybody was to call me, I could give them a list. Specifically for the residents of the seniors facilities, a letter from the facility confirming that the residents stating their name, that they are a resident of that facility, will be acceptable as well.
Could we also put that information on our Facebook page, say today, just so that it's at the top of the...
Jill is nodding, so I think that's yes.
Yeah. Right on. Thank you very much. Where are we? 10.3, Community Services, FCSS, and Sustainability. Ms.
Thank you,
Creasy.
Mr. Mayor. Quite a few things happening, but I'll just highlight a few with respect to just some of the things that our recreation crew are working on, getting prepared for Family Day happening February 16th. Of course, the activities happening at the Aspen Regional Landfill site. Plans are coming together really well, and encourage the public to keep an eye out for our social media and the newspaper for some of the events happening for that day. Also, further down the road, but certainly something that people need to keep in mind as they start to train for the annual triathlon. Date has been set for May the 9th, and I'm sure there's bound to be a challenge coming to council on that one.
I will take any challenge.
All right.
Well, we will
Training starts now.
really soon.
Yes. And maybe competing with Chandra for the front page of the website with, of course, the approval as information for the community sustainability plan, the social development plan, and the community open space concept designs, because as well, we do want to make sure we get that onto our website with the town to make sure that the public has access to comment on those items. Something through FSS, just want to give notice for a grant writing workshop. Certainly something that's been very important for our nonprofit groups as well as our two municipalities is, of course, relying on grants and trying to access what we can. We have a very good history in our municipality of accessing grants. We seem to be hound dogs with respect to grants, which is a good thing. But certainly sharing all of that information and a partnership between FCSS, Community Foundation, and together with Alberta Culture to make this grant writing workshop happen. So that will be on March the 10th in the evening. So certainly they can get in touch with anybody within FCSS if they wish to do so. And I'll leave it at that for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. 10.4, Protective Services, Chief Thompson.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, Council. I'd just like to take a few minutes to go over the December stats that Council approved earlier. Just to some of the events and activities that we participated in. If you look on the list there, we had 3 calls. 2 of those involved vehicle fires. One of them was a mobile home. Further follow-up investigation proved that it was an issue with a Christmas tree that caused that fire. Even though it is the middle of winter, we still are down to these types of calls. When crews were paged to that, we discovered that it was a permitted burn, so there was no further follow-up needed. We vehicle collisions for the month of December. 4 involved vehicle collisions. 2 of those were very serious ones in which individuals were transported to hospital. We had 2 single vehicle runs, and we had 1 collision, and again there was injuries involved in that one. In terms of you can see that we did have a fairly significant number, 14 alarm calls. Fortunately enough, report that the commercial sector has got the message. We have significantly reduced the number of false alarms. We only have 1 commercial business that we had to respond to. The remaining 13 were residential, so that's going to be an area that we're going to be focusing on in the near future to educate our public to learn alarm systems properly. We have 6 miscellaneous calls. 3 of them involved. One of them was a car. We also had to do a stop to assist EMS, and the final one was an odor complaint. And that brought us to a total of 31 for the month, a total of 327 calls for 2014.
How does it compare with previous, with that time of year in previous years? Up, down?
In terms of total, we are so we are up roughly 27 calls from last year. But
good news on the commercial front.
Yeah, that's
Getting the
pleased.
message.
We're pleased with that.
Yeah, good. Okay, thank you very much. Item 10.5, communications. Jill?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Council. So a few things I was going to mention as well, the by-election that we're coming up to. So last night, we also had the candidate forum, which went off quite well, which the Chamber put on, which was a good event. So a few things that we have going on that the community is aware of, and of course Council is aware of, is both the app and the website. And we've received quite a bit of positive feedback from the community, and some constructive feedback as well, and we've already applied the changes that have been looked for, and we're continually working to improve the functionality and also the service offering of both. And our app currently stands at approximately 300 downloads. We've seen success in both our push notifications and in the feedback portion of the app, which is good. And our events portion of both our app and our website is being increasingly used by the community, which is one of the results that we wanted to see. And so that really does help members of our community find the one place to get all information about what's going on in and around town. They can come to the town website or the town app to find that out. And the app is still available. It's free on the Apple App Store as well as in the Google Play Store. And all you do is just search Drayton Valley and you'll be able to find it there. And we're exploring some new and exciting options for new features for the app, and we'll have some more updates as that becomes available.
Great, thank you very much. And at the over the next couple of days, perhaps starting today, there'll be a bit of a push on our social media, at least to try to encourage people to celebrate the right to vote, and they can start tomorrow. So thank you, and thank you for your work on that. 10.6, information services. Is there anything in that regard? Nope. No information. 10.7, administration. Mr. Dell.
Your Worship, I would like to formally introduce Sherry Poole, our Economic Development Officer, to the county, to the council. Sorry. It's to the council and the public through this media. I think she's been here now over a week and a half, and she's just scanning the landscape and the culture of our organization and the community. And I think she brings a wealth of experience to that with her, which hopefully we will be able to capitalize on to bring economic development more strength, and hopefully work on more things the council always wanted. So with that, Sherry, if you want to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for welcoming me to your community of Drayton Valley. And yes, I'm very pleased to be included in as a the town of Drayton Valley, and I'm excited to bring some of the experience, the knowledge experience that I've had over the last 10 years in economic development, facilitating and specifically to some of the energy technology. I've had experience in ensuring complete facility. And the discussions in the joint planning session with economic development and tourism. And I just have to say it's a great time. It is a great time for the town of Drayton Valley.
I've no doubt you'll be busy. So, all the work you're about. Was that Mr. Dion, as far as report?
Your Worship, if I could quickly give you a little bit more stuff.
By all means.
I just wanted to mention to you that you approved today a regional cooperation follow-up action list. And I just wanted to tell you, I think we are on top of all the things. Our name is on that, and we are in time for delivering those to the county, and we'll send a letter explaining to them, so that we can have a meeting between yourself and the REEV and their CAO to go over this stuff for the next meeting.
Yes.
And I just want to report to Council that we had a meeting with Norquest yesterday. It has been a long time since we've been working on this agreement, and it's, I think we are 90% of the way through, and hopefully Council will see an agreement within the next 4 weeks for consideration. We're ready with the Building Canada Fund application because that was talked about at the Joint Council meeting. Just for our council's information, the application forms won't be available till January 30th, and at that they will have till March to apply for that grant, and it won't be approved till about August or September. So at this time, that's the timeline. So I just want council to be comfortable that we are on top of it as and when it comes. And I had a meeting with the Dean of the University, Stan Blade, the other day.
Dean of Forestry?
Dean of Forestry, and I think they've combined with Bioconversions Network. They've combined 2 departments. And this was regarding our projects in the forest or having university engagement into the field in here. And also working on the land of the CETC to see how we can have some trees which people can go for educational purposes to see what we can do from the tree, what we can make up, whether it's consumer products, so that's the kind of discussions we have with the university. So that's, I'll just leave it at that, Mr. Mayor, unless anybody has anything to ask.
Very good. Thanks very much. I the finalized agreement for consideration by council with respect to Norquest and operations of the Clean Energy Technology Center. So, 11.0, council report. Councilor?
For a couple of weeks on January, a Waste Management Committee meeting. I don't think there's anything particularly noteworthy there. Cassidy, as Deputy Mayor, I attended the Mayor's Advisory Committee. Hours, so I leave it there. With the 16th CETC Committee, I used to be one of the most exciting I've seen in this town ever. Mr. Young already alluded to Norquest, and we've seen the SWARA agreement, the MOU coming forward here. So a lot of reason for optimism relating to economic development specifically. We had GMP. On the 24th, I attended the board development workshop, which is hosted by FCSS, I think, but put on by some nice folks from the province. I first sat on a not-for-profit board, and it turns out I've been doing it wrong. These were incredibly useful, fairly I learned a lot of things about ways to improve processes on boards and that. So really, back to the which I think everybody's already alluded to. I'm happy to have 2 very strong candidates. plans for the future of the community, and I am looking forward to getting there and voting, and I hope everybody else does too. I'd like to welcome Sharon. She and I are on the our economic committee, which is yet to meet, so and seeing what we can do. We have two members or new members of the meeting. Guys, we're no longer here, but the services to our community of Courtney Rowland, longest editor in the history of the Drayton Valley West Review, from the community. She did very demanding, and I wish her well in the future. Thank you.
Who's the longest serving editor? That's what I thought. Councillor Schor.
Thank you. I really the committee meeting, the CETC committee meeting. Other than that, just our regular GMP and our special council meeting we had on Monday. So I really have nothing else to report. I just want to echo Graham's comments on the work that is going on at the CETC. It is very exciting, some of the things that have developed over the last few months. I know we've been working on them for a number of years, but some of the developments that have come forward, and it is looking very exciting with that. In addition, I'm also looking forward to some of the work that the CETC, the town, Norquest, and TELUS are doing for the building moving forward. And I think some of those are just getting worked on now, and there'll be information coming to council on that, I would expect in the next few months. And I think that is going to prove to be very exciting as well. So I'm looking forward to everything that's happening with the CETC moving forward and what it's going to do for our community. And that's my report.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bartlett.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to reiterate a few meetings that happened on June, I wish it were June. Felt like June. January 8th, ended with Councillor Long, the Waste Management Committee, where we continued to make preparations for the Family Day event on February 16th, and still continuing with our terms of reference. January 9th, I attended the Homelessness and Poverty Reduction Strategy Committee meeting, where we have been continuing to fine-tune policy and procedures for what we hope to have as our MAP program coming up into our community in short order. We also had our first volunteer call-out about 3 weeks ago, and we had about 30 people show up to that volunteer information evening. So anybody that might be interested in volunteering as a evening supervisor or an event coordinator or in any volunteer capacity for our MAP program, please give Emily at FCSS a call. It's a much needed program in our community, and it is moving forward, so I'm very thankful for that. That same day, I was able to go into Holy Trinity Academy and speak to grade 12 in the capacity of budget teacher for the Making Financial Sense program. Certainly, it's a great opportunity to get in front of the youth of our community, talk with them about money management, but also share with them some of the insights into our work here as counselors. So I always enjoy those opportunities to get into the high schools on behalf of FCSS. On January 19th with Councillor Schuler, although he was wearing another hat, I attended the television meeting with the partners with Norquest. That meeting was very technologically geared, and a lot of it was geek to me. But we are diligently to put all the pieces together for our classroom of the future at our CETC Center. And although it's very complex, I think the outcome of these partnerships will be very valuable to our community. On January 26th, which was just the other day, we had yet another visit from a physician. This physician and his partner were from Wales. I think every time I have a council report, you hear me or Councillor Wheeler saying we've had a physician visit, and that's been true. We've had a number of physicians come through our community in the last 6 months, and it just goes to show that this committee is working very diligently to try and recruit physicians for our community. So we're hopeful to hear from the 2 physicians that have visited us in the last few weeks, and hopefully have a positive report that one of them, or even both of them, wish to join our community. Last night, the by-election candidate forum went over very well. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for assisting in hosting that. And as Councillor Long has mentioned, we have 2 very strong candidates. I look forward to the results next Tuesday. And we'll be moving forward with a new councillor at that point, and I'm very much looking forward to that. And I have to say, on reflection of some of the reports and some of the things that we've accepted as information today, although there is some concern in the community about the price of oil and how it affects us as a resource community, I think with our work with the CETC Center, our new economic development officer, and some of the other initiatives, the that is going on in our community, there are for in Drayton Valley. We may feel some effect of what the price of oil is doing right now, but as a community, we remain strong and we remain positive and moving forward. And I know that there are good things to come, and getting through this next hump of a bit of a dip will not be without its challenges, but we do have lots of good things on the horizon for our community. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bossert. Comments on the current state of activity with the town and the community, and the optimism for the future. I was pleased to attend and participate in the grand opening of Anytime Fitness. The third, Councillor Long alluded to, the Mayor's Advisory Committee. There was considerable discussion to as the minutes become available, we will be happy to talk further about that. On the 15th, Paul and I had a meeting with the Staff Sergeant to discuss policing in the community, and specifically in relation to the community liaison resource officer position, whose job is being between administrations of the town, county, and school divisions. And we hope to get something on that in fairly short order in terms of a finalized job description. On the 15th, Paul and I met with our MLA to discuss some for funding and an application that is currently outstanding with the province with respect to operations for the CETC. The news, as you might expect, was not entirely. We'll wait and see, and the provincial budget is some if not a couple of months off. The 16th had a member of Parliament, Jim McGlinskey, who was very eager to learn more about from the community of Edson. So not intimate with this area, but he was very eager to learn what our community is about. And so one of the elements of our discussion of offering some space for him to attend in Drayton Valley periodically to do constituency work, which is essentially just an effort to make our Member of Parliament more accessible to our community. And again, on the 16th, the Clean Energy Technology Committee meeting. The attend a Pembina Area Assembly meeting where industry shares in the current state of the activities, and it seems that there's a great deal of optimism for Q3. Not much in the way of optimism for Q1 and 2 of this year, and that's understandable given reports in the provincial and national media. I was able to meet with the physicians at the physician end is Anthony, and I in any event, we Councillor Farrell, Councillor Wheeler, and I met with the physician and his wife to discuss the community and what we have to offer and what they are looking for in the community, and it seemed a very positive meeting. So we hope there will be a follow-up visit in the relatively near future. The by-election forum of two of our two candidates, and once again, I encourage everyone to exercise their right to vote tomorrow in advance polls and on Tuesday. Yes, got my days of the week right. Tuesday for voting day at the Legion. So that is my. I'll take a motion to adjourn. Councillor Schumer, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. What's that?
We just announced Evergreen Elementary is going to have their 4 modular classrooms. The ones that have been there for 60 years, or been around for 60 years, are being replaced. So they just announced it. Yeah. So get rid of those old mods and get something more modern and up to date and probably more efficient.
Yeah, and so that's good. That's good. The issue that I have with they built that with portables.
Yes.
And why would you do that? Why would you start from a position of
I know. It makes no sense.
No.
I guess so in